It's the PutemupPodcast with your host, Frank Mordejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'll fight you with my eye.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PutemupPodcast, episode number 10 for 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a good show today. Like always, there's not a good show that we won't give you, that's for sure. But I can't do it by myself. I'm going to have to introduce you to the man that makes this all possible, Mr. Patrick Regalado.
What's up, Mr. Frank Mordejon? How
going
are
on,
you, man?
Good, man. Hanging in there, man. It was a hectic day, man. I mean, I started jiu-jitsu at 5:30 this morning. You know, it took an hour and a half of that, and then straight from there, I had to deal with daily chores.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then the kid goes into jiu-jitsu at 5:30 in the afternoon. So
you're doing jiu-jitsu 2 a days now.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Is that why I'm seeing you in shape lately, huh?
Well, I'm trying, man. I got to lose that weight, man. I got a
man.
wedding to go to, so I got to drop at least 20 pounds. And the wife is doing the same thing. Her way of losing weight is different than mine's.
It is, huh?
Yeah. No,
Isn't your way of losing weight with a couple more desserts and a couple more?
No, my way of losing weight is the actual exercising.
There you go.
And but you know, desserts is what's killing me. But speaking about desserts, who do we have today as a guest? Because they say he's nice and sweet.
Is that what they say?
Yeah.
You know, this is the reason that I love doing this show.
Okay.
Because, again, we just don't do that normal show that everybody looks at. And
I agree.
Different, the perspective, and everything is different. I'm excited about the kind of show we've got on today. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Florida Boxing Commission. If you have been to any show in South Florida or in Florida at all, and you've never seen this guy judge, you're nowhere. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Elian Rodriguez from the Florida Boxing Commission.
What's up?
What's up?
Thank you for showing
Hello,
up, man.
sir. How are you?
How are you, Regalado?
Thanks for hanging
Frank,
out.
one question,
Thank
man.
you.
What's going on with these glasses, man?
Oh, man, listen.
I mean, since the first time I saw
man.
your first show, I'm like, what's going on with these glasses?
Yeah.
Man, there's no
Well,
sun here.
Here's the deal. I'm going to try to get a glass sponsor so we can pay some of our bills, because every 7 minutes we got to go to a
That is
conference.
hilarious.
Fair
I
enough.
think you're the first guy that ever we announced the show and he like hits you with a question about the glasses.
Because the questions are: is he high? Does he smoke? What the hell is the problem?
I want to know what's going on with the glasses, Frank.
And you know, it's these damn lights. Look at all these damn lights. I can't see anybody. But it's not about me today, brother.
Whoa,
it's about you.
Turning
We're
the
gonna talk
tables
about you.
right away.
Now, just to clarify, you're a representative of the Florida Boxing Commission because you are a judge for the Florida Boxing Commission.
Correct.
You're not part of the committee. You're not part of the body itself. But you are one of the entities of that committee. You're the guy responsible for when there's a pro show and you're judging, you know, decide who the winner is, right? But you're more than that, man. And I'm excited to have you on there because for people who don't know you, go ahead and give yourself an introduction, how you started into the martial arts, what you do for the martial arts itself, and how long you've been doing it.
Well, I started doing judo since I was like 15 years old in the Dominican Republic. Started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu when I was 21 or 22, around there. And, you know, I've been part of the business for the judging for, who knows, I don't remember. I think it's 15, 20 years, something like that, you know?
Yeah,
Oh.
I remember
but
you.
as far as you know, not only you see me helping all the pros, you know, you see me refereeing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, and I support most of the amateur shows that you see around. I try to, when I can, I go, you know. I'm a good supporter of the amateurs because I've seen some guys going for an amateur that have going through pros, and wow, you know, I see in kids that I referee jiu-jitsu since they were very young, and their parents close to me. Oh, that's my kid fighting now, pro. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting old, you know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So-
that happens to me once in one show there in Florida. And the mom came to me. She goes, oh, this is the kid that used to referee you, and then nag or something like something. I'm like, oh, now I remember the kid. I knew him, you know, and he was just like a regular kid fighting.
That's crazy.
Jiu-jitsu, you know, and it makes me feel good, you know, that I'm still in the sport, helping the best I can, you know.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you referee different. I mean, you judge different type of fights. You know, the MMA and the jiu-jitsu.
I'm also do boxing too. And
so, in order to judge these different type of combats, you have to at least have some kind of knowledge of the combat that you're judging. I mean, how do you diversify yourself so much as a judge?
I will say I've never done any striking sport, you know, in general. Always been a fan of the striking sport,
right?
You know, but I'm a martial artist myself, you know. I have a black belt in judo and also a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But I'm a fan of the sport. The same way I watch MMA is the same way I watch boxing.
Beautiful.
You know, and I watch kickboxing, and actually my first judging was an amateur, was kickboxing, because in those times there were not amateur MMA.
Right.
That's how it started. I started with I remember John Morrison from ISKA, was the one that, hey, Elian, I would like for you to start doing I used to referee jiu-jitsu,
right,
which is help you a lot. I think refereeing jiu-jitsu has helped me a lot through my judging career to sometimes understand a lot of positions when the fight's going on in the cage, and it's because some rounds are actually very close, you know, and you use that knowledge that you'll be doing referee.
It gives you that extra edge.
Yes, doing referee is very important. I still doing it. Sometimes I'm doing a pro show on a Friday night, and I'm 8 in the morning. I'm doing referee from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you know, and grappling competition. And I think these kids doing very, very things that are wow, man. That's not a blue belt now, you know.
Wow.
There used to be black belt only doing that at my time, you know. But it's very important to watch. For me, it is. For you know, people have different opinions. That's fine. But for me, it's very important to keep learning jiu-jitsu and keep refereeing jiu-jitsu, because it helps a lot.
Especially when you're doing the MMA.
When you are judging. And MMA, yes, it does. Plus, like I told you, also I watch a lot. I'm a boxing fan also. I think I started doing martial arts because I remember my father used to take me to watch boxing, you know, when I was a kid, you know, was a young kid in
Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Cool. I tell you what, we're gonna get more into the conversation. I'm gonna go a little deeper into his history and what we do. We're gonna talk about all his drug habits and alcohol and his DUIs, just to light up the conversation a little bit. But don't miss it. Check us out. We'll be right back. Don't
See
go
you all
anywhere.
at the fights.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Morejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'll fight you with my eyes.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Morejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'll fight you with my eyes.
Welcome back, everybody. Putemup Podcast. Check us out on the website, PutemupPodcast.com. Anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple,
And
Google,
if you feel like
Spotify.
looking at us, just go ahead on YouTube.
Yeah, you want to check us out? Go to
Take a look at
YouTube.
that guy. Look at that guy right there.
Yeah. The guy with the glasses that I just got, questioned about,
Hopefully you get a sponsor after this, Frank.
Yeah, I got to get me a Sunglass Hut after
There
this.
you go, man.
So, we're talking today with Elian, who's basically, again, we're bringing you people in the state of Florida where you now can see their faces. If you're on YouTube, you can match the face with the name and what they contribute to the sport of MMA. And even with him, it's even with BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I wanted to come on board because I want to get his perspectives on how people are judging fights nowadays. We went to a show, me and Patrick, over the weekend, and I believe you were there too at the Rise show. And again, Rise is getting some publicity, but Jesus Christ, I mean, there were some fights where a guy was mounted on top of him for like 10 minutes, and they gave it to the other guy. I'm like, what fight were they watching? So I wanted to get your perspective on why are there bad judgment calls? What is the reason for that?
I remember at least one fight that I remember when it finished. I was not judging the fight, I was just there waiting for do the pro shows, and I'm like, whoa, Rivera,
John Rivera.
I'm like, what's going on with that? What's going on? That's the right person won the fight. It was just the one judge that has winning the other guy. But
right. He had a split decision.
I don't. To tell you the truth, I've done a lot of ISKA, which I started a while ago. I helped the Yuma. Yes, Chip, which is a very, very good man. And I think I judged some show for Global
Finance Solutions.
What's the name of the
Mike Katusa?
Katusa, very nice guys. I just, for some reason, we never really. I have never judged that many fights for him,
Right.
But I will be glad to help him out when I can, That's no problem, to try to. I love the amateur shows.
Yeah.
They're very excited. These people bring a lot of energy.
Yeah.
And but and sometimes like that, it's just out of your control, Frank.
Well, let me ask you this. Let me put you on the spot real quick. When you're sitting there judging a fight, what does the Florida Boxing Commission tell you in order to judge a fight? What are the requirements? What are you looking for? What is it from a judge point of view? For those who don't know, when you're judging a fight, how are you judging it?
I judge it, me personally, for my experience.
That's not an answer. Hold on a second.
It might not be an answer.
No. You can't do it by experience, brother.
It's what I have been. I've been doing more.
Let me ask you, because this is where I get heated. This is where I'm going to start talking shit right now.
I think.
How in the world did you get your license with the Florida Boxing Commission? What does it take to be a judge of the Florida Boxing Commission?
I got my license. Maybe I don't exactly how many years. I don't remember.
It's for 1 year though, right? Every year you have to renew it.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Every
sir.
year you have to renew
Yes,
it.
But
The qualifications on getting a license to judge. What are those qualifications? Just fill out an application and pay you $25.
It's more than that, but
$100. Fine.
But well, I'm telling you, about me personally, I've been.
No, how did you get your license? Did they give you went on the line?
Well, I definitely trailed for almost like a year.
Okay.
Okay, that's one thing, and also
experience.
yes. Plus, I was a judge for ISKA as an amateur for a while ago.
Okay.
So I when maybe.
So you came with credentials. You came
basically
with experience.
plus.
Okay.
So
then that's good.
It was a different commissioner by that time.
Right.
And I did my what I have to do. I trailed for a while.
So now here's my second question. You got your license. You paid your money. You had some previous experience, which is excellent. So that was a no-brainer to give you a license. But even if you didn't have experience, you paid for it, you're going to get it. That's the bottom line. But here's the deal. Now that you're a judge, what training has the Florida Boxing Commission given you specifically in order to judge these fights? What training have they provided you with?
Well, I know that they do some, how do you call it, conventions about WBC and all the other stuff. Actually, they sent some information for us to go in May, I think so, or to Orlando and stuff like that. But Frank, I've been doing the sport and following the sport since maybe it's MSU, and I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo and that. And then when I come to judge fights, I just use my experience, my knowledge, and for everything that I've been watching all my life,
But that's a problem. That's a problem because you're doing that based on your experience, and then we wonder why we get other people who don't have that same experience judging a fight and calling it a split decision when clearly the scoring is totally off. Then you're wondering. You're wondering why these people are going.
Frank, but
27-30.
It happens. It happens.
So today, someone. Me with no experience, can I go and become a judge?
Get a license.
No. You
pay for your license. There's no fucking training. There's no training.
There might be a.
Run my background check? Maybe run a background check? That's good.
No.
We don't want crazy people working for
us.
No,
that is a different story. That's law stuff. But I'm sure that just because you're going to pay, you're going to be I'm sure
absolutely.
That you're not just going to be a judge.
Did you take a test?
I've never heard of
before you got
the reason I'm saying that is because I've never heard of a course given, or every time you renew every year, they don't give you like a test.
And we wonder why.
Or anything. So that's why we're asking. I mean, listen, people just like being a promoter.
But let's be clear on this, Frank.
Please.
Okay.
Please clear the way because all I'm hearing is that you hear this license, pay
you
for
hear
it,
this decision happening and it probably, let's say it happens in that amateur show that you were there, probably a bad decision, yes. But how many times you hear bad decision in the UFC?
Yeah.
And they use the same judges.
Yeah.
Because and they travel them to different
because they weren't trained. Because they weren't trained.
So those decisions, it happens.
No, it's happening because nobody's being trained properly. That's why it's happening. Not just because it happens, it happens. Listen, if you're a doctor and you operate on somebody, you better know what the hell you're doing.
Hey, you have a point.
You better know what the hell you're doing. You can't just go, well, it happens. And he put a knife in and, he cut a vein. Well, that shit happens. No, you're going to get sued. You're going to get malpractice.
Listen, Frank. I'm not a perfect person.
No, I'm not saying you are.
But the
God knows you know we ain't. God knows you.
But what I do is that I whatever something happening in a fight, in an amateur show that I help, or
but you're missing,
in a professional show, I just focus in my job.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. I can't be focusing in somebody else.
Here's my point. You should have a guideline as a judge. You should say, okay, in order for me to judge this event, it's not based on my experience. It's based on the criteria in which the Florida Boxing Commission is laying in front of me and making sure I follow. Not based on what you think.
Oh, no.
So if you tell me now, maybe I said it wrong, but if you're telling me, like, listen.
And maybe telling you that my experience sounds wrong to you, but as far like what we're looking at in every round, he always going to be damaged. He's going to be control the ring.
Now we're getting. Let's get there in a second. Let's get there.
So maybe when I say,
I want to get on that.
Yeah.
Maybe when I say experience means because I understand all this.
Well, that's what you got to say.
I think that's the meat to where we want to go.
That's where you want to go.
Perfect.
Sir, let's go pay some bills, please.
Let's go pay some bills. We'll make commercial. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Check us out.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Mordeholm.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Mordeholm.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'm fighting with my eyes.
Welcome back, everyone. Putemup Podcast. Check us out. Like us. Share us. Do whatever you want with us. PutemupPodcast.com.
We're easy. What can I tell you?
We're easy. You know what I'm saying? We're easy. What can we tell you? We're sitting here with Mr. Elian, who, for me, is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the state of Florida when it comes to judging. I have personally been involved in some BJJ tournaments where I single-handedly called him out and said, hey, I need you to come and support and referee and judge. And he's been nothing but 100% supportive with the community, the fight community, whether it be MMA, whether it be grappling, whether it be amateur MMA. So kudos goes out to him for allowing us to see him at work, if you will. But we were going over what it took to judge a fight. And we went back and forth. You talked about your experience. You talked about, that's why you could judge these fights. We talked about what does it take to get a license. Was there any training involved? And apparently, I haven't seen any. But there are some criterias in which you're judging. So if you're sitting there and I'm a fan and I'm figuring out what is this guy looking at, I should be saying, how is he judging this fight? That'll give me a better perspective and understanding as to why you came to your conclusion as to why this guy won. So what I wanted to do, and I guess it was a miscommunication there, I wanted to figure out what those criteria were. You basically knew what those criteria were and said, hey, it's my experience. But if you could break down what are you looking for in an MMA fight, and then we'll go with the BJJ later, but let's talk about MMA. Like, what does the Florida Boxing Commission tell you that you need to figure out these criteria in order to determine who's winning a fight?
Well, to further like the rounds, damage it should be the more important thing.
And when you say damage, you mean when you look at the person's face.
What was more effective? What was more effective in those 5 minutes or those 3 minutes if it's an amateur show?
Yeah.
Was the more effective? Sometimes maybe nothing is that much effective because there were no power punches or whatever. But sometimes it's always where you're sitting. I can see something that maybe the other judges can't see. Another is ring control. Yeah,
hold on. Let's stay with damages for a second. When you say damage, are you considering damage on the face, like this guy is all bloody, or are you looking at the damage?
No. The damage can be anything. Leg kicks. It can be body punches.
So the type of attack.
It can be. Remember, like I told you, I can be sitting down here and maybe I see a punch that I saw that was very damaging to the other fighter. Maybe the other judge couldn't see. Right. So, so sometimes that's why we're sitting down in different places. Yeah. That can change probably and also in a very close round.
Okay.
You got it? or what happened the other day in the fight that you were saying, it was just something that, you know, it was not right. But some rounds are close, Frank.
Okay.
You know, and that's you can't.
But damage is just one aspect.
One aspect. But at the end of for me, it is a more important criteria. Why? Because damaging is what probably end up the fight. You got it?
Okay.
I mean, if I land it, if I get a submission that I almost get, well, you need to appreciate that, and that give your. Remember, at the end of the round, you give it an opinion of what your experience. That's why I go back to your experience.
Right.
Tell you to every single aspect of how you judge a round. Give you your experience to say, okay, well, I have to give a winner. There's no draw.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to give a winner to the round, and that's how I basically.
Is there something called ring control or cage control?
Yes, that's what I want. Some rounds are probably not that much punching, and some rounds are like people just grabbing each other and this, and it's a lot of nothing really. It's a lot of grappling involved. Maybe there was not that much punching, but okay. So at the end of the round, it doesn't matter. You have to judge the round.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if they stay 10 minutes just doing grappling. So what it brings you back. So what do you thought it was a more
Who was the most aggressive?
Controlling the best, and jiu-jitsu help you a lot when those rounds are like that.
Yeah, because I think Hoist Gracie has proved that in the beginning of this stuff that you could be at the bottom and still win.
Yes.
In the eyes of those who don't know BJJ, you may think he's losing, but he's actually
he's probably doing things that you can consider that are very effective, and your experience help you because you are watching jiu-jitsu. And then those rounds are gonna be close. You know, I have some. A lot of rounds are like, oh my God, it can go red. I've been in some fights that are like, you know what, I might be the old man out, and I'm happy with my decision. Yeah. You know, sometimes I don't. You know, if you see my record, most of the time I'm not a man out. You know, but doesn't matter. Even the ones that I've been out, it's fine. You know, I'm happy with my decision. I'm not gonna change my decision and say, oh, it was wrong. I think that's what I felt. My heart told me, and then my experience and what I saw in that round, that's what I think it was.
Okay.
So let me ask you, judges, okay, because everybody's an individual. Do judges have their own style that they're looking for? Maybe some judges look for aggression. Maybe other judges look for the defense. Maybe other judges look for all these things, they come into play. What kind of judge are you? What do you look for specifically? Are you looking for the offense? Are you looking for the defense?
No, because some defense are pretty good. Some fighters are fighting back or moving, and there's some effect in even fighting back.
Right.
And sometimes the guy's going forward doesn't mean that because he's going forward, he's winning the round. You know, he's probably this is more so that more standing type of occasion, but some guys are very good cutting rings and stuff like that, and because they're moving back on and going defense doesn't mean they're not landing.
Right.
They're jabbing, they're leg kicking, you know, and stuff like that. So I look at the whole 5 minutes.
So you take the whole thing.
I take the whole minute. I'm not a judge that forgets about the first 3 minutes and only see something in the last 10 seconds and say, oh, you know, because rounds are, especially in MMA, they're 5 minutes, and amateurs only 3 minutes, or in kickboxing I think it's 2 minutes.
Right.
An amateur. Or even when I do judge boxing, you know, it's a lot shorter the round. But in MMA, in 5 minutes, I think I should have a winner of the round.
Good idea.
Even if it's a close round, and then that's my job.
Okay.
And my job is to give a winner to the round, and no matter how close it was, it's not my fault that it was a close round that can go blue and red. You know, that's their fighter for
right.
That because they made it a boring round or whatever it is. I've been in a lot of fights that the guy had won the first 2 rounds in a boring way, but then the other guy wins the third round, and the whole crowd is going crazy. Well, I'm like, oh my God.
They're gonna flip out when you give them that decision.
But hey, this is a round fight.
Right.
This is not a whole fight, and then that's the way. That's the rules. Yeah, I'm following the rules.
Yeah, and I think he does a great job doing that. But we're gonna go a little bit more deeper.
Right.
But you know, we're gonna do that.
Are we paying more bills?
We're paying more bills.
Are they not accepting my IOUs?
They're not accepting your credit, your IOU, or nothing. Man.
Nothing, huh?
We have to go another commercial break, people.
I'm gonna plead the fifth.
But trust me when I tell you, this next segment, I am gonna dissect this gentleman's job responsibilities, if you will, and he's gonna have to answer some tough questions. Let's see how he handles it.
We'll be right back.
Be right back.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'll fight you with my eyes.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'll fight you with my eyes.
Welcome back, everybody. Putemup Podcast. Check us out on every social media channel, everywhere you get your podcast. Check out the website, PutemupPodcast.com. We're sitting here today talking to Elian Rodriguez, who basically is a judge for the Florida Boxing Commission, referee for a lot of grappling events, pro events, and everything else. I mean, the guy has full of knowledge, and I wanted to bring him on just to get an idea and a concept of what does judging actually entail. How does that licensing thing work? But of course, we get into conversations about, MMA and boxing. We just left off with like Jake Paul fighting. You give him props.
He had me and you talking about him right here.
Yeah, absolutely. And so listen,
he's doing something right.
Yeah.
YouTuber who knows how to make things. He makes his own company now. He runs his own things. He runs his own show. He's.
But we're from Florida, friend, and any comment that I would like to say is about all the amateur shows.
Yeah.
Listen, I know all of them, all the promoters. They do their best to do a good show, and I'm happy because Florida is a great state for MMA, and
we got all the fighters.
Yes, and we got the fighters and the promoter. They work really hard,
schools.
and all of them. I'm good with them, and I help the best I can. I mean, I think I'm probably the only. I don't know if the other judges do professional, but you see me involved in the amateurs and stuff like that because I love the sport. I want to help the sport, and I want all the amateur shows to grow, and that's very important. How they grow, maybe bringing the best people to work around them, and to get better and do better for the show. And yes,
I agree with that.
And that's very important. Those guys from PFL and 305, Global, whatever, Rice, all of them very good people. I wish them the best. Daniel, I just did his show last week, and it was great. I did the amateur shows for them, and I hope they keep growing and growing because the amateurs, I see them. A lot of people fighting amateurs become pros and becomes pretty good, and then that's very. I feel good about it when I see these guys that I've been seeing them fighting amateurs and become pro and do very, very well.
Terrific.
And you see that a lot. And you see a lot of shows, a lot of local shows.
I see you giving props to a lot of the promotional companies, especially those that you've done some work for, which is great. But on your level, as far as judging, do you look at a guy that's judging and to yourself say, what the hell is this guy doing in that seat?
Well, let me ask you this. Amateurs, go to their point. You don't need a license for amateur judging, right?
Well, that's the point I'm trying to make. That's exactly the point I'm trying to make. I mean, so what the hell is that guy doing in that seat?
Well, I just focus on what I...
No. Hey, listen. Everybody has their internal thoughts.
You see that in boxing. When you see boxing fights, you see that when you're watching the UFC.
Is that his way of taking the fifth?
That is what he's taking the fifth.
I got you.
You see that. You see that when you see boxing fights, and you're like, what, and they. That's what can I do? It's like
but to your point, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to go on record saying this. I get it. Like amateur MMA was put on the calendar for a reason. For those who know the statistics, before in the state of Florida, you didn't have to do amateur MMA. You can go straight from the street to do a pro show. And
remember, before they couldn't strike when they were in the ground.
Right, ground and
got it.
Right.
Remember
so it grew, and then that headgear came off, and then the shin guards came off, and as it grows, and they try to make it as professional, as pro as possible to get them ready for pro, right? To more of a pro scenario in order to get them pro. There was a lot of changes that had to be made, but I get it. The amateur shows were created to give fighters the ability to say, "Hey, listen, this may not be for me." Right?
Yes.
I have to back out. And the statistics for that is over 50%. Over 50% of the fighters who start amateur MMA only fight once. That's it. They're gone. They're
Some
out.
of them, there's some guys that have been. I remember Charles Rosa, basically.
Yeah.
I remember doing a lot of his amateur fights, you know, and now look at the UFC.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
in the UFC.
Yes. He been Caceres from here.
Alex.
There's a bunch of guys that I've seen, you know,
Jose.
fights for a while. But amateurs are very good, and I think all the promoters are doing the best they can to promote the
Actually,
fighters.
and that's the point I want to make. Listen, we understand that they're doing the best they can. Sometimes I'm a little hard on the business side of MMA because to me, some people are delusional. And to me, it's a business, right? And that's what these podcasts is about, is the inside of the business and things like that. But some people lose money, and then they sit there going, let's do it again. Like, that's not, you know, if you want to keep doing it, that's on you. But there's history that people don't look at. There's a formula that people are not following. People follow the formula of Dana White doing shows. And I've said it over and over again. MMA is a million man sport. Like, if it wasn't for the millionaires to produce the MMA, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it. If Dana White didn't have the Faitosa brothers to support him every single year, give me $1 million, give me $1 million, give me $1 million, $10 million later, then they're like, let's cut this out. And they're, oh, you know what? We'll sleep on it. We'll get with Dan Lambert.
Remember, it's an amateur fight, and they have problems with people failing to make weight and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this is my personal opinion. I mean, I just give you what I think. I think the promoters that do the amateur shows here should be trying to dealing with the best academies, the more responsible academy that we have, because we have a lot of them.
Okay.
You know, and maybe those try to make your chances a lot lower to make sure your fighters show up that day and fight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you just get any school for that, you know that those guys are not really. You know, yeah, they probably have those canceled fights and stuff like that.
Well, let me tell you this, and I'm glad you said that, because here's the statistics. And brother, if you don't know this by now, don't tell me shit unless you figured this thing out was statistically, right? Give me the facts. The fact of the matter is that the top 5 schools in the MMA, top MMA fighters, the schools in which they come from are not MMA. They're fucking Combat Club, which is a mixture of MMA and boxing. Mm-hmm. You have a karate school who has an MMA program. You have another MMA karate school. So now the tables have changed. Before it was all American Top Team, MMA Masters.
Well, that's how diverse we are in Florida. We are, and sometimes when you see a guy, in a record here of a 3-0 and a 3-0 from some other states. They're not the same 3-0. You know, these Florida guys are very good.
Yeah, but let me tell you, what I'm saying is that you can't determine what school has, you know, reputable fighters and things like that, because right now what's teaching me is that these karate schools are coming up with reputable fighters.
I'm happy to hear that.
But what I'm saying is that you can't rely on the American Top Team. You can't rely on MMA Masters, even though they are already embedded in the world of MMA, and they'll give you these fights. But even they may have 10 fights, 20 fights, and you can't do an event based on just one school.
No.
You've got to diverse yourself. The more schools you got, the more chances of having a fight. But listen, man, I know we got to wrap. I could be here an hour with this gentleman right here, man. Right. First of all, I want to thank you for coming, man. Thank you for giving 100%. Us your insight.
Great guest.
Thank you, friend. I know you guys for a long time, and I appreciate it. I just want you to keep helping the sport just like I do.
Absolutely.
You know, I still train judo and all that stuff, but my main thing is focusing and learning. I watch fights every week. When I'm not doing judging, I watch fights. You know, so I learn every time. I'm not a closed-minded person. You know, I watch any contact sport. I learn, and you've been helping the sport for a while here in Florida, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I hope that we keep moving forward, and Florida become the best state for MMA in the country and in the world.
Amen.
And you definitely gave us a different perspective on judging and how you judge personally and how judging is.
I always go back to myself because I can't control other decisions for even when referees are, you know, but a referee has seconds to do a decision.
Let me put you on the spot.
We sometimes we have more time, you know, and sometimes the referee is doing something that he might could able to keep going, but he might cannot. I'm not seeing what he's seeing.
I got you.
So I have to give him the benefit of the doubt always.
Let me put you on the spot. If anybody wanted to contact you, do you want to give out your email address to see, hey, I need Elian. He talked some good stuff today. I need him to judge one of my events. Any way they can get in contact with you?
Well, I think every promoter here knows where I am.
You're absolutely right. There's nobody.
So it's nothing, no problem. I'm glad that I do a few amateur shows for different organization, and I just got contacted this week by the global. You know, I told them, listen, and if I can, I mean, if I have a professional show, I can, you know, do that. But if I can go, believe me, I will.
Absolutely. Listen, if you guys don't know his number or his email address, hey, just go on our website and request it, and we'll definitely share that information with anybody out there. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully we're bringing you some insight to the game of MMA and to the sport itself, bringing you the people on board who are behind the scenes, who make things happen. Elian is definitely one of those guys who are the driving force.
But promise me something, Frank. Next time I come by, you have a sponsor for your glasses.
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, that's I like that idea.
I think should I take it off just at the end?
What?
Hell no. We'll do it.
You got to take away the sponsor, brother.
We'll do another
Come
time.
on,
Remember, it's a podcast.
down,
Nobody
bro.
can see me on a podcast. You know what I'm saying? Unless they go on YouTube, and they have to go to Putemup Podcast YouTube channel for them to see it.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. On behalf of Elian Rodriguez and Mr. Patrick Regalado, we'll see you at the fights. Thank you, everybody.
Put 'em up.
It's the Putemup Podcast with your host, Frank Mortejon.
I don't understand what's going on here. I'll fight you with my eyes.